All right. Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Modern Goonies podcast. I'm your host, Trevor King Minor, and on the mic today, I've got my lovely co-host, Chandler Schwing.
Well, thank you for the compliment. I am pretty lovely. How's it going, you fine folks and gentlemen and ladies?
And for the return of the first time in a year, we've got good old Dubby Dan. What's up, Dustin?
Howdy.
And for the first time ever, and for the last time in our current apartment, is John Noah.
Hello.
What an
Hey, John.
entrance.
It's fucking great to have you on here. Finally. Been begging this guy to be on for pretty much the entirety of our podcast. All right, so I want to start off this show by apologizing to you guys for the lack of content. I've just been crazy busy lately, going through the process of changing jobs, which I now have a longer commute. I just got back from vacation, started and ended a relationship. We had a wedding. We had bachelor parties. We had several birthdays within 1 month. Been working on music, just been working out. I don't even get home till like 8 o'clock anymore.
To clarify, Trevor did not have a wedding with the girl that he dated.
Yeah, that's how the relationship ended. Was it started and then I divorced her.
He had the wedding and then it ended. It was very abrupt.
Yeah, it was fucking traumatizing.
We're all moving on and learning from it.
So
thank God.
I've had very little time to record a podcast, let alone like actually record the damn thing. So you know, and now to add to that, we are finally moving out of our apartment. I'm about to be moving somewhere else, so that just tacks on a bunch of other shit that I have to do. So for the sake of time, we're going to start going to an audio-only format, which it just allows me to do a lot less editing, where I can just record and upload a podcast in like a day or two rather than a week or, you know, every other month. So hopefully this will allow for us to put out a little bit more content, as well as be able to give you guys like our take on current events as they come out, rather than having like a really big delay. So with all of that being said, why don't we go ahead and get on to our show? So today we're going to be discussing some election issues in the wake of the 2020 election, where Biden has currently won and Trump right now is refusing to concede. So we kind of want to start this off by, some people are kind of confused on our political opinions, which granted, I think even I am sometimes.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, do any of us like have like a concrete like idea of like what your political ideology is?
Not really. No,
Should
I don't.
anyone,
no,
for that matter?
No, well, honestly, that's always been my take, is that I don't think you should subscribe solely to like one party and one belief. It
should be pretty malleable.
Yeah, I never take on just like one party. I could go either way on any issue, and that's fine with me. But some people are like, nah, like red or blue. So because of this, I kind of wanted to see where all of us lied in our political beliefs. So I had all of us take the I Side With quiz, which you answer a couple of questions, or you could answer like the long format of it, and it will pretty much tell you where you stand politically if you do want to subscribe to a certain party or a certain candidate. So this has been a total surprise. I just asked everyone here tonight to take the quiz, and then when we talk about it right now. So why don't we start? All right, Dub, you're first up, man. So you ended up taking this quiz earlier today. What were your results?
Well, in terms of parties that I guess I coincide with, apparently I'm 89% green, environmentalism, left wing, and shout out to Mark Thompson, 86% socialist, and then transhumanist, 84%, Democratic, 84%, Peace and Freedom, 83%, American Solidarity, 82%.
Wow.
I don't know. I was really surprised that I was more socialist than anything, but I guess, like, retrospectively, like, the questions I answered, it makes more sense.
Yeah. And yeah, I just want to clarify that, like, just because this is what it labeled us as doesn't mean that's what we are or subscribe to. It's
Dub's a communist now.
Yeah, no, Dub has always been a very staunch communist, so we know for a fact this is a fucking lie.
This just reaffirms it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Dub. So when you look at like the candidates on your list, what's like your primary candidate that it says that you would vote for?
I'm not very affiliated with politics, but I'm familiar with the name Kamala Harris, 92%.
Holy shit! Wow.
I don't know. Like, you're gonna have to explain to me because I didn't get a chance to look into even who she is or like.
Oh, you don't know who Kamala Harris is?
No.
She's our vice president-elect.
Yeah, I mean, like, completely uneducated. I don't pay attention to politics.
Wow. Okay. Hey, no, that's dope. This will make for a fun episode then. Yeah, no, Kamala Harris is she's our
Biden's
VP right now.
VP.
Yeah. Dope. Okay. All right, Chandler, you're up next.
Okay, well, before we get into that, where do you see, like, on your results, like, your likely candidate?
Here, let me see your phone.
My ballot.
Yeah, I got it on my ballot.
Oh, okay.
Mine is interesting.
Trump.
Okay.
No.
What the fuck?
All right, so
All right.
discuss your results first and then tell us your candidate.
Okay. Mine's pretty similar to Dub. I'm 85% green, 85% peace and freedom, which I don't even know what political party or affiliation that is. 82% Democratic, 80% transhumanist, 80% socialist, 73% American Solidarity, 45 Libertarian, 21% Constitution, and 14% Republican. Interesting here for my ballot. Hold on.
Are we just doing top 3? Or...
I'm fine with that, or top 3, or top 5. Let's just do top 3, I guess. I'm 83% Bernie Sanders, which, I mean, I guess we can get into later, but 4 years ago, I'd have been fuck Bernie.
Yeah, we will get into that because that is something I wanted to mention.
83% Michelle Obama, oddball right here. No idea why this is on here. For the Independent Party, 82%. Dwayne Johnson. What the fuck?
Yeah, he was on mine too. I was
Why?
So it gives some that are speculative.
Holy Hannah, I'm 80% Kanye West. I don't want to fucking vote for Kanye West.
Yeah,
His
I'm
music is
60.
trash.
I'm 66% Kanye
What
West.
the fuck?
Yeah, so this is giving you speculative 2024 candidates that people have expressed interest in, but nothing
Mark
concrete.
Cuban?
Wait, how is Kanye West healthcare and science?
I've got
You
him
must
for
agree with
foreign
him on
policy
some of his ideas.
and national security.
Wait, does that mean I agreed on his points of view in
Yes.
healthcare and science, or
Yes.
that he is?
No. You agreed 83% or whatever the fuck it is with
the
Kanye
fuck?
West on those certain issues.
Oh, if you click on whatever candidate, it shows you which ones you agreed with.
Yeah, it'll also show you on the party where you stand and where you
Okay,
don't.
do you support the legalization of same-sex marriage? Okay, yes, but allow churches the right to refuse same-sex ceremonies. I didn't vote that.
Well, it should show you what you said and then what he said. It should show you.
Oh, well, I don't agree with that. How the hell is that?
Well, did you say yes? Or...
I said yes to legal. I don't even remember that question being on.
So
there,
it
actually.
lumps. So it lumps
that wasn't
you.
even a question on mine.
So it lumps you into because you said yes and because he said yes, even though he had a caveat. It lumps you together as in you had the same answer because you both said yes.
Okay,
But I'll just go ahead and say this. If my dad watches it, I love you. Don't think differently of me because 83% was Bernie Sanders.
So
I still love you, Dad.
You were the one that I was the most interested in taking this quiz because I know you've been kind of libertarian for a long time, or you kind of thought of yourself in that way. So I was genuinely curious to see what your answers would be because I know we agree on politics a lot, and I do consider myself I do have a lot of libertarian views, but I feel also a lot of my ideas are liberal as well. So I was interested to see what yours came out as.
Well, go ahead and say yours, Trevor, and then we can start dissecting.
We'll let John go.
things.
We'll let John go before.
Okay, go ahead, John.
All right. I'll do my best here. All right. So I didn't have any 80% anything or even 70% anything like Dub and Chandler, but I had 64% libertarian, 63% peace and freedom, 60% democratic, 55% transhumanist. What is I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
55% American Solidarity, 54% green. Apparently, fuck the environment.
Yeah,
is
you don't
what I
give a shit
said.
about
damn,
the
John
earth,
is
apparently.
right in the middle. John's not leaning anyway.
54% socialist, and then 40 Republican and 32 Constitution. And for my ballots, I have 87% Mark Cuban.
Hell yeah,
Which-
Luka Doncic. Let's fucking go.
100% I agree with. If he were to ever run, I would vote for him.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Go Mavs 2021, baby.
Dallas Mavericks.
It might be because I am a huge Mavericks fan and I follow
It
Mark
just
Cuban. I love him. Everything he does, I support. He is the best owner in any sports industry. He is an amazing person. And
What if what if Dirk was his VP elect?
I don't.
John
think,
would fucking nut into the stratosphere.
that would be illegal.
you would have to wake me up because I would go comatose and not think the world is real. Again, with Dwayne Johnson for my second, I am 75% Dwayne Johnson.
That's so weird to me.
Is he supposed to be running?
I
once again, I think it's just like speculative. People who might have expressed interest in something at some point, and they
I
just threw it
haven't
in
seen
there.
a single thing about him even being slightly interested. I guess it'd be the same thing as like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like,
Well, I mean,
I mean,
at
he's
least
kind of the
he
same
has
type of-
like some like stance in government because he was the governor of California for I don't know how long.
A while.
Which is still really weird to think about in hindsight.
Okay, so I just looked that up, and according to muscleandfitness.com, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is seriously considering a bid for 2024.
You know what's really scary is I feel like he could get like some kind of poll. People be like, oh, "Dude, I love Fast and the Furious. I want The Rock to be
Yeah,
president."
No
That's
bullshit.
why-
If I knew his platform and I slightly agreed with it, I would definitely vote for The Rock. Like,
Okay.
shitty movies for everyone.
I honestly like The Rock as a person. He's really cool. Fun fact, he has his own pond that he stocks fish with, and he loves to fish all the time.
Well,
which-
I mean,
Okay,
he's got
we know who John's
vote.
voting
so
for.
he,
That's all John
100%
needed.
has my vote. Like,
yeah.
He literally already has the best campaign slogan. Like he literally can just like walk up to the podium and just be like, "Can you some nut?"
Yeah.
People are just gonna fuck. Oh, Dwayne!
Dude,
Just
honestly,
start
if you're
nutting everywhere,
if your
He's wearing
campaign
his
slogan,
fucking unitard, like his little
oh my
underwear.
god, if your campaign slogan was "fuck Vince McMahon," I'd vote for you. Like that's all we
100%.
need.
okay, I would too. Vince McMahon's a fucking cocksucker.
Yeah, what a piece of shit. All right, so here
All right.
we'll move on. Oh wait, you got
yeah.
more?
So,
Go ahead.
well, that's only two of my electees, my whatever my ballots would be.
Let's just do top three.
I want to do five. Or, yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. So, who is three? Pete?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg? Okay.
Buttigieg.
Yeah, well,
Buttigieg?
Buttigieg. I don't
Booty-
fucking
Booty
know,
eggs.
actually.
I think it's
Booty
Buttigieg.
eggs.
booty. I'm gonna say booty eggs. Okay.
Okay,
So-
well,
Pete Booty Eggs is 64%. Never heard of that name in my
He
entire
is
life.
he is a gay mayor from is it Indiana or Idaho?
it's some more rural state.
Yeah, he
If it's Idaho, I don't like him. If it's Indiana, he's okay.
What do you have against?
The fuck's against yeah,
Cause I'm not no hoe.
Idaho.
Anyway.
Well, you're at 64. So you're 64% of a turd pusher, I guess.
Oh, he's a
Facts.
mayor. He's a mayor in South Bend, Indiana. But he had a presidential bid for the Democratic nomination this year, and he actually got a lot of traction. I think I don't know exactly what the main problem with him is. I think Mark says he's like a corporate shill, but I mean, who fucking knows if that's coming from Mark? So
Mark says that about everybody.
yeah,
Besides
Well,
Bernie.
That's my top three. Really, the only one that matters is Mark Cuban, and he's my number one.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
that's really all I care about.
That's pretty ironic. Well, let's go to yours, Trevor. What
All
do
right.
you got?
So I have never heard of this party before in my fucking life, but I got 82% American Solidarity. And I don't even know it. I want to look that up because I don't even know what the fuck American Solidarity is.
I mean, if I had to just use context clues, I guess it's solidarity. You just want, I guess, what's best for the American people.
Okay, so here is a very contradictory statement right off the bat. If you look at Wikipedia, the American Solidarity Party is a Christian democratic political party in the United States, which obviously Christian democratic political party is not
That's
what I am.
right up your alley, isn't it?
Whatever fucking soever. Incorporated in 2016 as the party national local chapter was the party's nomination in 2020. The importance of strong families, local communities, and voluntary associations. Socially conservative political party, but I don't believe in social conservatism, so that's kind of weird. Religious freedom, I mean, I believe in that. Social market economy. What a fucking contradictory ass thing this is. I don't even know. Okay, so anyway, so I'm 82% American Solidarity, 74% Green Party, but I think that's only because of my staunch, like, we should do what we can to get away from fossil fuels kind of thing on the environmental issues. 73% peace and freedom, 71% Democratic, 68% socialist, blah, 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 blah. But the most important one that I want to stress here is I am currently 29% Republican. So,
God damn it, Trevor.
I want to talk a little bit about this. I don't want to get into it too much right now, but so currently right now in 2020, I'm 29% Republican. When I first took this test, like when I first knew what this was, I was a junior in high school, and Mark Thompson got me to take this test because he thought that I would end up whatever percentage Democrat more than I thought I was. I when I took this test for the first time, I was 97% Republican is what I was when I was
97?
97% Republican
Eesh.
is what I was. So
I'm sorry.
in 7 years, I have gone from 97% to 29% Republican. I have definitely inched my way more left. And as you were talking about earlier, each time I take this test, I have gotten more left, like no matter what. So I started as far right as I could, and then like I think the next time I took it, I was only like 60% right, and then the next time I took it, I was dead center, like both left and right, and then this time that I've taken it, I am now...
Yeah, you know what
I am
that
now
is?
more left.
That's called real life experiences and meeting people, like you going to college and seeing other people's opinions and actually being open minded and not stuck in a small town full of KKK.
So I want to get to that, but before I do that, let me. So my ballot, my number one guy is 88% Mark Cuban.
Hell yeah.
Hell
That's what I'm
fucking
talking about,
yeah,
baby.
and then 78% Dwayne Johnson.
Why is Dwayne
I
Johnson
don't
in everyone's
fucking know.
top 3?
76% Michelle Obama, 74% Bernie, 74% Camilla. Oh, I don't like this one. I don't like 74% AOC. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
So basically what we've learned from this entire thing was if Dwayne ever runs, everyone will vote for him.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I guess so.
Dwayne's got 79% of the entire population's vote.
Yeah. It's interesting because I get lumped in with some of these candidates because I am a strong non-interventionalist, which is like, so if you've ever heard of Tulsi Gabbard, that's pretty much what she runs on. And it's like, I don't think we should involve like anything in any foreign bullshit. We just pull all of our stuff in. We are isolationist. We don't fucking touch anyone else's affairs unless it's like dire straits. Like we don't fuck with other countries, like none of that. And that lumps me in with like a lot of weird Republicans.
Like Sultans of Swing?
What?
I got it.
Thanks, John.
I don't know what that is.
Dire Straits is a band.
Okay. I'll act like I know that reference. Did you know that?
I did not catch
Okay,
the
there
reference.
we go. All right.
Fuck all of
If
you.
we played
half.
the song, you would know it.
Maybe. Yeah. So, so I guess now we can go ahead and get into some of that other stuff now that I know I'm 88%. All I know and care about is that I'm 88% Mark Cuban. That's it. That's the only thing I give a shit about. So
Go
yeah.
Mavs.
Interesting.
So, yeah, go Mavs 2024. So, but yeah, like what you were saying, that inch left is definitely the more life experience kind of thing. And we talked a little bit about this on another podcast that we did with Jordan, which I haven't posted yet, but it definitely came with, what the fuck are y'all doing?
What? We're pretend smoking a joint.
They have rolled up a napkin and they're pretending to smoke a joint by blowing vape smoke out of the end of it.
That's how you get along in
That's
life.
hot.
That's how you get along in life.
Yeah, so like I mentioned this a little bit on that one with Jordan, but what I said was
pretend.
that when I went to college, it wasn't necessarily that my professors were liberal because I went to college in like the conservative capital of Texas, which is Lubbock. I think it's like literally 90-something% Republican or something crazy. Holy shit. He lit the napkin on fire.
Here goes the smoke alarm.
Oh my God.
Dude, shit
I
hits,
can definitely
bro.
smell that shit.
Oh my god.
You have derailed the podcast.
It's that loud.
Trevor thinks it's a napkin.
What
It's
is
a
it?
doobie.
It's that wet.
Okay, but
It's that sticky
I don't. I
icky.
think it's less about like what the professors are speaking to you about, and more about you meeting people and hearing their opinion.
That's exactly where I was going with that. Is that like I went to school in like the conservative strong point of Texas. However, I had people coming there from Pakistan. I knew John and I knew a guy from fucking Korea, from Saudi Arabia. Like we knew people from.
We lived with a guy from Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. Yeah,
I
like
was gonna ask where he was from.
Yeah,
but
we
I
knew
didn't
we
know.
knew people from literally all over the world, like no fucking bullshit, like all over the world, and it wasn't. My professors had nothing to do with it. It was not a like academia is turning our kids liberal. Like my professors were probably fucking conservative, but I know for a fact my economics guy was. He preached that shit all the time. It was just the fact of being constantly surrounded by people that had like such different viewpoints on life than I did.
Yeah.
And I come to realize is like, I can't keep this same mindset of like what it was like in my small town, Quinlan, Texas, USA. Like that's just not a good representation of what the world is. And like when you realize that, you want to become more, or at least I did, want to become like more inclusive on my worldview. I don't want to just be stuck to the my way or no way bullshit. Like, so,
well, like extremism.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem with politics in general is extremism. No one wants to
Yeah,
go and meet other people and
that or
listen to them.
just like really now just tribalism. Just you
Yeah.
like wholeheartedly identify with either blue or red or left or right or whatever. Like there's no one wants to explore like the gray area, which is, I mean, I'd say like maybe like 90% of like most like normal people are just like, I can kind of see it this way, or I kind of see it this other way too. Whereas you have like the small like fringe is what gets the most attention, where it's like Republicans are always normally like destroy libtards, fuck Antifa, that's all Democrats are about, when I'd say like most like Democrats, which I'd probably get into now, like this is, I mean, I'd say like, I mean, not to derail my own point, but like in the 2016 election, like I voted for Trump, and it was like at that point I talked to Trevor about this when I picked him up from coming home from his vacation. Like I was like so fed up with like the PC like bullshit. I was like, and I still am now, like I still think it's fucking stupid, like any kind of like extreme like political correctness stuff. I was like, I'm so fucking sick and tired of this. Like I don't want to support the party that like is for this, so
yeah,
I voted Republican.
For a good while there, it was ramping up pretty high to where
it was
I don't
crazy.
want to call SJWs, but like SJW-esque people were like very leftist ideas were pushing really hard against the right, and people like Ben Shapiro were popping up, or what is the guy's name? The older guy,
Milo Yiannopoulos.
I used to be a fan of their content on
me
YouTube.
too.
Yeah.
I was exactly the same, but like I would say like now, like in this election would be like the only time in my life, which I mean in my adult life I guess I should say, is like the only time I've really like kind of labeled myself as like, I'm Democratic like this election, like 100%. Like but I mean it really follows like the same things like y'all have been talking about. Like you just I mean I feel like once you've kind of just grown and like get out of like your bubble a little bit, you just kind of like expand your thinking more than what you're just exposed to. Because if you just, I mean, you're a product of your own environment. So if you only associate with people of the same political ideologies or anything like that, you're just going to uninhabitantly just absorb their beliefs as well, which I feel like most people, particularly like within our area that we grew up in, kind of fall victim to. But if you just like just get out and live life, like you don't have to absorb everything you see. Just take everything with a grain of salt. Just hear people's beliefs and just form opinions for yourself. And if it's not what your mom and your dad agree on, fuck them. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Like you're your own person. You should have your own ideas and beliefs. If it doesn't fall with your peers, then I mean, who cares? Like
I think I think that's one of the most major problems is like on each end of the spectrum is just like it's like maybe a selfishness. Like people are stuck in their ways too much and they don't care to listen to other people, or like walk in someone else's shoes at least for a moment. Even if like you disagree with someone, you don't have to like blasphemize them and hate on them and like want to destroy everything they believe in. You can disagree with people.
To kind of go on that, I say that it's also kind of I mean, maybe to like not this extent, but I don't know the way to describe it, but like some sort of like fear or like not wanting to admit that like you may like agree with like certain ideologies that don't align with yours politically. Because if you're like, I'm a hardcore Trump supporter, and then someone's like, okay, what about I don't know, like police brutality? Like you show like the clips of like George Floyd getting kneeled on, and like you show it to a Trump supporter, they're like, well, yeah, I mean that's fucking bullshit. It's like, okay, so you support like reformation of the justice system or like the policing system? Like, well, now hold on, I don't know about all that. It's like I'm not gonna be a Democrat or anything. It's like, okay, like you can like you can
go out of your scope of practice a little bit.
It's not just one or the other. Like with politics and literally everything in life, it's not yes or no, black and white. Like life is gray matter. That's something that's like kind of interesting that I learned a lot. Like when I took a lot of sociology classes in school, like one professor like I really liked, like he would always say like if we had like long form like discussions or like we would have to like do essays over like certain things, he's like, just get into like the gray stuff. He's like, it doesn't have to be yes or no or black or white. He's like, just say what you feel.
Yeah,
and,
I mean that's part of fucking the human condition is existing in
exp-
gray.
Experience. Like life itself is just an experience, and I feel you're putting yourself at a disadvantage if you willingly don't put yourself in the position to experience other beliefs different from your own or your peers, because you have stunted your own growth, either mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, whatever you want to say.
Well, so like, so there's two things I wanted to touch on there. So you mentioned something about like, they no longer believed like just what their parents believed, and like, I honestly think that is such a huge thing, like in the development of your political and like your worldview when you're growing up. Like you don't realize. I feel like most parents, they don't want to indoctrinate their kids. I feel like that would be like a bad parental move. However, some of them can't help doing it. If like that's a really important part of you and you want to raise your kid in the way that you think is right, you're going to accidentally push like your political world, religious view onto your kid because you think like that's the right thing to do. That's the right way to raise your kid.
Or even if you do it like unwillingly, like you just like come home from school and like you're eating dinner and your dad just turns on like Fox News or something. So like that's like what you grow up watching. Sure, like, you just automatically assume the role of a certain political party when you haven't really experienced enough life to formulate your own opinion.
Well, right, and because you're also listening to your parents, and your parents are like, well, my parents wouldn't steer me wrong. Like if that's what they believe, like then that must be the right thing to do. And I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like when that. Whatever it was like the 2004 presidential election. I was like 8 years old, and my parents were talking about politics and whatnot.
Bush and Al Gore, I think.
No, that was Bush and John Kerry.
Okay, I don't fucking remember. I was so young.
Yeah, I was like 8 years old, and I remember asking like, okay, well, who's the bad guy? And my parents like laughed, and they're like, well, George Bush is the good guy. That's all you need to know. And it's like, you know, and I remember
nothing's changed since 2004.
Yeah.
It's a sad world.
And so I remember growing up, and I remember my mom would ask me like just kind of like out of the blue, what do you think about this political opinion? And I was like kind of growing up, I was like middle school, maybe early high school or something like that. And I'd be like, well, like I don't really think that's a big deal or whatever. And then she'd look at me and she'd be like, don't tell your dad that. And I'm like, why? And she's like, he would not like that. And then so that literally warped my political view. I'd be like, oh, well, if my dad thinks that's a good idea, then like that must be the actual right answer.
That's literal fear mongering. Yeah. Like to a definition.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to. Well, yeah, I don't mean to like frame my dad.
Well, no, but I mean that's just like coincidentally how it happened.
Yes, exactly.
What's interesting to me is like in the really conservative town we grew up in, how did our friend circle deviate so far from all those ideologies?
I mean, not to like
what
like,
sparked that?
I don't know. I'd say not just to toot our own horns, but I feel like generally like all of our like friend group or like our small like 10 to like 15 like group of friends, like we're all like pretty smart, like all pretty well educated, and I mean I feel like that's just it. Like if you can be well educated and differ like politically from someone that's well educated on like the opposite spectrum.
Even that is a hard point to defend, because some people that are incredibly intelligent still have very extreme beliefs.
Well, that's
and
true.
Like, we're all very neutral.
Well, I guess you could say that like it like
relatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that. I mean, any person, smart, dumb, or well-educated or not, could be hardcore, like anything politically. It falls to everybody on whatever spectrum of intelligence you have. But
I guess the point is, like, for the most part, we're all pretty, like I was talking about earlier, we're all pretty mindful of what we're thinking about and, like, pretty open to listening to other people's opinions without being too brash about it.
I'd say that's it. Like, we're all just open-minded. Like, we can just see through, like, bullshit, and we just, you know.
But I that's what I'm saying is, like, how did that happen? Because most of our families are pretty extreme when it comes to politics or, I mean, just certain beliefs in general.
I think it's literally because a lot of us kind of got out of that town and that circle for a little bit at some point in time. Like, I was still staunchly Republican / libertarian when I left, like when I first got to college. So even though I grew up around all of you guys, that didn't make me a Democrat, and that didn't make me a liberal or left by any stretch of the words, because I was still like 90% Republican when I left. It was me kind of being away from that and experiencing life on my own terms without anyone talking in my ear. Just like, what do I think? What is it that I believe? And I kind of came to the realization that some of these points that I thought I cared so much about, I realized that I actually didn't fucking give a shit about it all. It was just people constantly blabbing in my ears like, this is wrong, and this is why this is wrong, and never fucking believe this or believe that. And it's like when you get away from that, you realize, oh, okay, I don't actually fucking think that or whatever. And I feel like a lot of our friends have, in one way or another, strayed from the town and the exact setting in which we grew up in. Like, all of us kind of went away to college for a little bit, whether that was at A&M, which still has like some like liberal ideas when it comes to professors. Like, it's still a university.
I'd say it's, I mean, I think I've talked about it before on the podcast before, but I've had quite a few, like pretty, like, I wouldn't say hardcore, but like really strong liberal professors at Commerce. Like somewhere it's like, and this was around like the 2016 election when like, I don't remember, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't remember the guy's name, but like the, what was like the big like police brutality murder that happened like in 2016 where they're
Was it George Zimmerman?
The
Is that who
Skittles?
you're talking about?
No, it was
Trayvon
after that.
Martin?
No, it was after that. Which also, side note, is really shitty. Like, there's been so many. Like, I can't remember the name of the certain one I'm thinking of.
Ferguson?
Yes, Ferguson.
There we go,
It was
Ferguson.
like it was like around that time when it's, you know, and I'm getting like pandered like all this shit like at school where it's like so like, particularly in the one class I had, and it was a criminal justice class, which I mean just, you know, kind of double like effects on it, but it just like so much like hammered like into me like you need to believe this way. I'm just like, well, you know what, like I mean just me, like I always naturally have, as I've matured, just like kind of go against the grain, which I guess is something like I could say to like kind of like harken back to what you were saying, Dub, like how we all kind of got to like where we are, like this like small niche group of friends. Is like I feel like that just comes with experience too. Like you said, like if you just question things, like there's nothing wrong with like asking questions. I mean,
Yeah.
like absolutely nothing wrong. Like you could be like super hardcore, like lean like either left or right or whatever direction you want to fucking go. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I mean, that's, I mean, not to sound like condescending or something, but that's what smart people do. They question things. I mean, that's what you should do. Like with life, you should ask questions and you should try and seek answers because that's the only way to grow.
Yeah. Well,
and I feel like that's just a part of like kind of learning who you are politically is you question things. I mean, it doesn't mean you disagree with it. Like you could be like, I don't know. I try to like, I always go back to this, just like conversations I have with my dad, just because we're kind of like differing, but we can see like eye to eye on things. Like just question things. Like someone like brings something up, it's like, well, I'm gonna make really shitty examples, but you could like just literally like question anything, like whether it be politically or, you know, spiritually, whatever. I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking questions and trying to gain knowledge about a certain subject because I mean, in the end, it only just helps you and helps you identify more with what you really want.
Yeah.
Because if you just blindly follow something or believe like what your peers say or what your family says or whatever you're getting told like through your ear, through social media or whatever, then you're not thinking for yourself. And
right.
I mean, I think that's just what our friends do. Like we're all pretty smart people and independent thinkers, and we just question things. I mean, that's how people should be. That's how you become.
I think the main thing, like you said, is just being inquisitive about fucking anything, even stuff that you've always believed in.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong. You should never be judged or like feel like you're burdened by asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions.
Good luck.
Well, yeah. Well,
okay,
there's
2020.
Okay, well, yeah, obviously.
Well, there's nothing.
That's not how it is, but that's how it should be in
Yeah.
an idealistic society. You should always try and like question things that you either don't know in or like don't believe in or something. Like, there's nothing wrong with trying to learn more. You should always try to learn more, and that's what you get by asking questions instead of blindly following or obeying or just listening to what other people say. Just, you know, just be open.
I think too, like this might be hard to follow, but I don't know if y'all like watching philosophy type videos on YouTube. Like, have you heard of Sisyphus?
No.
Or
sounds like
Exerbia?
I watch like
Wisecrack. Sound like weird like bands or something.
They're like these little
Wisecrack.
like
watch Wisecrack.
they're like it's like these little, they're not cheesy channels, but they're like very philosophical, and a lot of it's like political but also self growth type of things. And there's this one video, basically they do a lot of like comparative writings to philosophers, and there's one video I like a lot, basically about how like yeah, it sucks that there's a lot of extremism and these opposing viewpoints and everything, but without like one side being stronger than the other, like two completely different opposing forces coming together, there wouldn't be a balance between the two things, and you would have like a mediator basically to be able to come up with, I don't know, like
I get what you're saying, but I would say, just to play devil's advocate to that a bit, I feel like it's becoming more and more blurred, I guess, with and I don't know, I don't really have like someone to blame for it, but I would just say like the way we're able to receive information now is that like such a hyper area. Like there's so much like media
overstimulation.
Yeah, there's so much media that we can consume, and you have a choice to dictate what you want to see versus what is actually happening or what narrative you
that's where
perceive to choose. Like it's too much that like it's just kind of blurred. Like there is no middle, it seems. There is a middle, but it's not shown that way.
Well,
like
well,
you
not
have
even-
reason to
yeah.
not believe that there is a middle.
Well,
when
there is
most
that.
people do have
Yeah.
common ground.
Well, there's also a big problem where people don't like centrist. People do not like people in the middle. People don't respect independence. They don't.
That's most people.
Well, but that's the problem, is that like if you really have like a right or a left ideology, like you really believe that like just about everything they say is gospel and you want to go with that, you don't like that guy in the middle because you think they stifle progress, which I mean I completely disagree with. I think that the only way to really run a functioning society is like, you can't have everything you fucking want, man. That's just not the way life works. You have to compromise. And people don't like that. But I am much more willing to accept, okay, look, I can't win every fucking battle, but if I can get these couple of things and then also kind of give up these 2 points that I don't like to the Republicans or whatever to make more people happy, I am much more willing to do that because I at least get something that I want, rather than it's this fucking
compromise.
It is this back and forth every fucking year depending on who's in Congress and who's the president. It's like we get everything this one year, and then when the Democrats are in office, they reverse everything that all the fucking Republicans did. It's like you're constantly doing this tug of war when it's like, no, you have to fucking work together. If you want everyone to be happy or to have some kind of modicum of like, hey, we are making some kind of progress, you have to fucking compromise.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And you can't, I understand that people want this big progressive systemic change on both sides. However, like that's just not the way it works. Like this country is divided and you have to appeal to both sides. It's like, okay, look, I'm willing to give you these things, and also as long as I get to keep these few things. And it's like, okay, great. Like now everyone is fucking happy. You might not like those couple things that you had to give up, but at the end of the day, at least we made some kind of ground for both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's another big issue is like no one can compromise. Like at like even if like if we were all the fucking same, like if everyone believed in the same thing, I think it would be a very shitty world to live in. Like, this is kind of a stupid reference, but I'm sure y'all watched Fairly Odd Parents. Isn't there like an episode where he wished that everyone was the same? They were like fucking blobs or something.
Maybe.
And it was like the point of the video, like it's kind of deep for a children's show, but the point of video is like basically like it would suck if everyone was.
I mean, I kind of get what you're
same
saying.
ideology.
Like, I mean, there should always be like someone like, I don't know, I guess challenging like what the norm is per se. But I mean, to kind of go off of what you were saying, Trevor, I mean, I feel like that just all falls back to like, I feel like it's a failure what it's come to really, like, and especially in the last like 8 years, I guess, or 4 years really, just the two-party system. Like, if this is like, I mean, I think you and like, on the last one we did with you, me, and Jordan, when we talked about it, like, if this is the best that we can come up with, like, two possible candidates, like, there is a big flaw in our political system, like, because I honestly don't think that what most Americans want, like, I don't think most Americans want Donald Trump as president. I think the people that voted for him would just rather see him versus Joe Biden, or vice versa.
That's a vote is forced.
Like, how do you overcome that though?
Okay. So here's
I don't know. I don't know the answer
so
for
here-
that, but I
here's
think there
something
should
that-
be a change somewhere, because
Yeah.
I think that the two-party system is on a very fast.
Well,
like,
to me,
downhill.
is that a political
lead to
downfall,
nowhere.
or is that a cultural downfall?
Okay, no. So it's both.
Probably
But, so
both, yeah.
here's something that gives credence to that. I was looking at electoral maps the other day, And there were several points in history where third-party candidates won whole fucking states. Whole states.
That seems crazy to me now.
Because here's the thing that happened that kind of stifled that movement in one way or another is that in I think it was the 1996 election, I'm not sure, the one where it was or maybe it was like 92. It was Clinton and Bush, and then Ross Perot decided he was going to join in, so that might have been like 92, I think, whatever.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, so Perot joined in, and he was like, yo, I'm gonna be a part of this. I'm gonna run as an independent, libertarian, whatever the fuck he ran as. And he garnered a lot of national attention, especially kind of like in southern states, I believe. And then at some point he realized he wasn't gonna win, so he dropped out. And a lot of those votes were just kind of like, where the fuck did these go? And a lot of people blamed that on why H.W. Bush lost that election, was because most of those votes went to Clinton or whatever the fuck it was. And because of that issue that happened, they put in these places that you had to have like a certain percentage of the vote to be able to participate in debates and also like show up on ballots and states. So a main thing here's a big problem that we have. So like the Libertarian Party, which a lot of libertarians are kind of interesting because, for instance, the woman that ran this year, I really fucking liked. I liked her a lot.
Jo Jorgensen?
Jo Jorgensen. I read her policy views, and I was like, holy shit, I fucking love this woman. And my dad did, too. And we were on completely different ends of the political spectrums, but we could agree on Jo Jorgensen. We liked her a lot. And it's because she was more about policy rather than this fucking, partisan bullshit, like right or left. She's like, no, here's what I think are good ideas. I don't give a fuck if it's right or left. Like, here's what I think is good. And so a big issue with the Libertarian Party is that like I don't think until recently they didn't show up on like every single ballot on every single state in the United States. What are y'all doing? What's up?
I don't want that beer.
Oh, okay.
We've gone through sign language of Dove saying he doesn't want his beer, and me and John will take it.
So the point I was making is that like the Libertarian Party for the longest time, I think up until either 2016 or now, and maybe not even now, they don't, like, some states like refuse to have them on their ballots, which is like bullshit. It's like, oh no, sorry, we don't recognize Libertarian as a party. It's like we only recognize Republicans or Democrat, which is bullshit.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
bullshit.
It's complete bull. And then also like Libertarians, even if they hold like a pretty good majority of the, you have to hold like a certain percentage or whatever, but like even if a lot of people are voting for them or want them on the stage, like Libertarian parties are not allowed to participate in the presidential debates unless they have like a certain percentage.
Yeah, that's something I was gonna say. I've never seen like any like I don't know, I guess you would say like an unknown like Jo Jorgensen or like any kind of like libertarian or anyone that's not Republican or Democrat like debate on a national stage.
Yeah, the very first televised libertarian debate just amongst like the Libertarian Party, which
was
is
it
like
on PBS?
It was in 2016.
It came on after Between the Lines.
It was on something. No, it was on John Stossel. John Stossel did it. And it was in 2016.
I have no idea who that is.
He's a libertarian commentator for Fox News.
Okay, I don't want to sound like one of the woke Facebookers here, but what the fuck is up with that? What is it about the fucking two parties that is like such an extreme power that nothing else can budge in? What do politicians want out of that?
Well,
I feel like it's just excuse me. I think it's just like we've kind of it didn't happen like overnight. Like we've just slowly like kind of just edged ourselves that way. Like, I mean, I can't really say like
it has to be economical.
Well, I mean, it's been like this for a long time where it's just two parties, and that's pretty much been the case for like almost all of America. Like I said, there's been some points where third parties have been able to win states in several elections, but for the most part, it is always garnered towards, it was like Whigs and Democrats, and then it was Republicans and Democrats. It's always pretty much been two.
Well, the way that, I mean, I could be just talking out my ass here because, I mean, I really can't speak for anything like outside of when I've been an adult, but I feel like that margin is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller as like the years go by. Like it's just either right or left, and that middle like kind of centrist, or I guess like just for lack of a better term, you could say libertarian, is just disappearing.
Look up like poll results for like the Senate and House, the parties that were voted for. I would wager to say I would wager to say it was less than like 5% for third parties.
Well, actually, libertarians did win some seats, if I'm not mistaken. Poll results for 2020.
Also, while we're here,
I mean, there's no telling what you're gonna get if you just search poll.
Yeah. So
Polla results.
What did you
Polka
want?
results. I mean, I guess I don't know how you would look it up. I mean, just
Like Senate seats? Is that what
Isn't
you want?
this
Yeah.
Wouldn't you
the
say
votes
that
that matter for.
Wouldn't you say that this is a problem that like you can't use the internet to look up
Google
like
fucking
accurate
filters it out. Yeah.
to look up like accurate poll results of the elections of the fucking country that you live
Google's
in?
algorithms customize to whatever you're looking up the most. So if I look up fucking pink dresses and you look up pink dresses, it's gonna pull up two completely different things. Like,
Right. Well, not even to like get into like how
other parties 2 seats out of 100.
That's crazy. But like not even to get into like how the algorithms of different search engines work and their, whatever bias they
That
have.
shit's
But like
scary. Yeah, we can get into that
how
later.
how crazy is it that you cannot get like certifiable results right now to look up like election results? Like it's like I just want to see the election results.
How do you?
And
Yeah.
just,
I mean,
like,
how do you
search it
determine
on the
what's
internet.
reliable though?
You can't. I mean, that's the problem I have now. Is like you just like
How do you do it even in an ideal situation? How do you determine what's reliable?
I mean, I feel like, I mean, this could just be ignorance on my part, or just like kind of, I don't know, ignorant bliss, I guess I would say. But like, I feel like when I was growing up, like the news, like watching like nightly news or
was all
something,
factual.
was like the news. Like, I mean, like I never questioned it. But now, as I've become an adult, and I would really say just in the last like, I
It's
don't
the
know, maybe
tonality.
like 4 to 6 years, like I feel like I have to pick and choose like how I interpret the news when it shouldn't be that way. It should just be the cold hard fucking facts. Like this is how it happened. This is the result.
So-
and that's it. Like it shouldn't be open to interpretation. I don't believe your facts. That doesn't make any fucking sense. A fact is a fact.
Yeah.
So here's
a
something
statistic
that-
is a statistic.
Here-
It's not open to interpretation.
Yeah. Here's something that I learned very recently was, and I can't remember when this was, but it was shortly before like the rise of Fox News, when Fox News became this fucking powerhouse of conservative news and like opinion pieces. It was actually, there was a law.
We need Ron Burgundy fucking to read the news for us. God damn it, I want the facts. Thank you, John.
Well, interestingly enough, I learned this because of the movie that was directed by the same fucking guy. And from that, I learned it from Vice. But there was a law kind of back in the day, I think in like the 70s or before, where like news was responsible for reporting things equally on both sides. Like that was like a law. And then at some point, if I'm not mistaken, it was Republican politicians that did it, repealed the law.
of course.
That basically made it to where opinion news could kind of come to the rise, i.e. Fox News, CNN, things like that.
That's bullshit.
So
that pisses me
literally,
off.
like ever since then, like the floodgates have been open for the last 50 years of
making whatever news, and this is no video, but I'm putting news in quotations, like that just upsets me like so much. Like the news should be the fucking news.
It's
like,
just here is what happened. Here are the facts we currently have.
Yes, just unbiased, unfiltered news. This is what happened today. This is how it goes.
News on TV, on cable TV, or news on your phone?
I mean, I feel like cable TV is the one that we're probably more referring to.
Okay, my point is,
Well,
who the fuck watches cable TV besides people 45 and older?
Well, I would say I would just say from my perspective, I didn't have cable growing up, so I didn't watch like cable news. Like I watched like local news, like Fox 4 News or like the NBC like nightly news or something.
WNBC.
Yeah, whatever. Like I didn't question like what they had on there, but now like if I turn on the news on like or just read like an article on my phone, I'm like, oh, okay, who wrote this article? I'm like, oh, it's this website. I'm like, well, I know they're a right wing or left wing like leaning news source. I got to take it with a grain of salt. I don't want to take my news with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
I want to know what happened in any kind of certain or given situation, and I just want to know what happened, and then I draw my own opinion from the uncultured or unbiased facts that they report.
Just exactly what happened.
I feel like you have a moral obligation as a journalist or a news reporter to report unbiased and unbiased facts. Like, I mean, It's the fucking news. Like, how did we get to where we are, where people are like, I don't believe your news. I watch my news. Like,
Rise of opinion news in the 70s when the law was appealed.
it's the
repealed.
fucking news. God damn it.
Noah,
Yeah,
let's see.
I completely agree with what you're saying. Is when we were younger, you could turn on the news and expect to see the news that you wanted to see, but now when you turn on the news, you do not see the news. If that makes sense.
Well, that's how it is
Like,
now. You tune into the news that you want to see.
Yeah. Well, what
you,
is-
you,
so-
you get to choose what news you want,
Here's
and you
the-
get to ignore what you don't want to see.
Yeah, going on what you both just said, it's not that we weren't seeing what we didn't want to see at that time. It's that we were too young to know that what was being presented to us had a bias behind it.
Yeah, I was about to say,
I
was it
suppose
that way, or
I
did we
suppose
just
it could
no,
be that
yeah,
way.
no, because when I was-
that's what I say.
yeah.
What I'm ignorant about it. Maybe I just didn't.
Well, because
I wasn't
no,
able to see that.
Exactly. Like, I had Fox News on all the time when I was a kid, and I'd be sitting there listening to it. And when I'm a kid, I'm like, this is the news. This is just the news. This is how it happened. This is how they're
a
reporting.
guy
it.
in a suit saying shit.
Yeah,
I
but
have to
then when
believe
I
it,
got older,
obviously.
I realized Fox News is a conservative media. So everything I was fed as a kid had a conservative bias. And then and now looking back, I'm sure I probably listened to CNN too at the time, but I didn't realize it was like, no, when I was growing up, CNN had a liberal/Democrat bias. But you don't know that until you get older.
I don't
and you
think I
like,
even realized that until I was like really deep into YouTube in like 2011, 2012, 2013, and I would see like Tucker Carlson clips, and I would just realize like how fucking retarded everything that they were saying was. Like, just so incredibly extreme, like
Yeah,
weird.
Nine times
I-
Tucker Carlson has owned libtards or something,
Yeah.
and it's got like 15 million views or something. Like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just like I was just like, I feel like looking back, I was just like happened to stumble upon it. It was in my recommended or whatever the fuck it was at the time. I don't think there was an algorithm back then. But
I think that does make sense though, because like when we were younger, I feel like the town we grew up in, almost everybody that we grew up with watched Fox News.
yes.
yeah, that was the
and-
only
yes.
news.
But to us, that was the actual news. And
Yeah.
when we watched it, it was like, this is real news. Like, we're looking at it, and it's like, this is what's actually happened, and this is what we should believe. But now that we're older, we're like, we look at all these other news medias and sources, and we're like, okay, well, I don't want to watch Fox, or I don't want to watch CNN or whatever, because I'm a certain party, and we get to choose what we want, like you were saying. Like, back then when we were young, we don't get to choose. We just watched the news and thought that was the real news. But when we watch the news now, it's like, this is not fucking news at all, and I don't want to watch this shit.
Well, it has to be-
You're listening to opinion
It has
pieces.
to be.
Yeah.
It has to appeal to an audience.
Yeah.
I think that's the
Did-
point. It has to be entertaining.
I was gonna say, do you think that could be a byproduct of maybe capitalism at
Yes.
some point?
100%,
Because
it is.
100%.
because
100,000%.
that's I mean, that's what makes money. I mean, Fox News wouldn't be where it is right now, or CNN or whatever political news source you get from wouldn't do the things that they do unless they made money off of it. Like,
Well, okay.
I feel like there's not money to be made from like unbiased news, because everyone's like, well, I don't want to see that.
Well, it's
I
even
want to
more-
see what I want to see, and
it's-
that's what gains traction and makes money. So it's just a byproduct.
It's even
of
more
our
extreme
own
now because
things that we want.
It's even more extreme now because of what I was saying earlier, how television is dying, and since the audience is so much more focused, they have to, whatever content they're releasing, someone is monitoring what gathers in views. Someone is watching that. That's just the way marketing works now, and like entertainment in general. So whatever content they're making or releasing has to be appealing to a certain audience.
Just mining
the
data.
45, the 45-year-old whoever audience. I mean, they're probably fucking people in nursing homes, whatever. Someone's tuning into that, whatever they're making, and they're liking it, so they're making even more of that content. So it's like hyper focusing and like hyper extremizing whatever they're fucking making.
Well, I also think a big part of it is confirmation bias. So, like, say you are kind of, you're watching these things, you don't necessarily know they have a political spin, or you're not really paying attention to political spin, right? But say you're a conservative in a small town and Fox News is the main thing that happens. And like, you kind of have these opinions in your head. Well, this is kind of what I think about like these issues. And then you have a guy on national television looking at you and being like, hey, exactly what you just thought, that's right. And you're like, hey, this guy just validated my feelings that I currently have, whether you have an informed opinion or not. That guy just validated your feelings, and therefore you are more likely to listen to him. And that's on
I
any
agree.
any side of the political spectrum. And it's like when you look up something, right? it's the same thing. You have this opinion in your head. Global warming is not real. So you look it up and you look at the first couple articles that you see on Google,
Yeah, I mean,
and it says that it is real. It is real. And then you see this one that's like, it's not real. And here, let me give you some numbers on how it's not. And then you're like, well, hey, that's what I thought. And here's
whatever
this thing
you
showing
Google,
me.
like you could Google like like top 10 ways global warming is fake. And you're gonna get like what you
like
want
what
to
I
see.
said
confirmation
earlier.
bias. That's exactly
and
what
you
it
could
is.
go the other way, like the top 10 ways how global warming is real, and you're gonna get what you want.
Yeah.
I could say like I fell victim to that maybe around like the 2016 election.
I've definitely fallen
is,
victim
like,
to it. Yeah.
You know, I mean, this kind of harkens back to what I've said earlier. Like, I feel like most people are just like in that gray area, just in the middle, where they're indecisive on certain things, or they feel like, I mean, it bugs me to just like say it like left or right, like type of things. But I mean, that unfortunately, that's just how we have to categorize things politically in our country. But like, you could feel like a certain way left or a certain way right about different things, but you see Tucker Carlson saying something about it, you're like, well, I really agree with that, so I think I'm Republican. Or you see Anderson Cooper say something different on CNN, you're like, well, you know, I really agree with what he's saying, so I'm just gonna kind of follow with that. Like that, I feel like we've just dug ourselves like in such a deep hole. I mean, it could just be like the pessimist in me, or maybe
Well,
the nihilist. Like I don't know how we get ourselves like back up, and like we just like start to like get on the way to like dig ourselves out of this like media like in like disillusion that we have dug ourselves into as a society.
Well,
like, what is
like
the
you were-
solution?
it's like
how
you
do
were
we
talking about
how do we
earlier.
go away from this?
It's like you were talking about earlier, like we live in such an overstimulated time. It's fucking Black Mirror-esque. I mean, we live in a Black Mirror episode.
100%.
And the thing, well,
I
the
think so,
point,
too.
the point
Yeah.
I'm making is I think that sensation you're talking about is a virality, like kind of like how memes work, where a certain idea gets formed in someone's head and it spreads like a disease. Like it'll spread like wow. I mean, look at Trump supporters, for instance. How the fuck does someone like Trump, who is completely lay in politics, ignite this huge fucking movement and I mean a fucking cult?
It
if you
literally
wanna call
feels
it
like a
that.
cancer.
Yeah,
Like how it spreads. And
It's a
how
viral idea.
It is. Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
viral idea, and that goes for memes. That goes for political beliefs. That goes for anything in this day and age. Just the
It's
way
almost
that
anything that's spread through any sort of media or social media that we have.
I mean, it's the medium in which we look at stuff. It's social media. It's YouTube. Whatever you fucking use on the internet. It's such an easy way to spread misinformation, spread information, that it becomes viral. It just ignites really quick, and I think that's one of the big problems.
Well,
how do we get out of this though?
Well, so
that's something that really bugs me. Like that, like I mean, you know, you hear like the stereotypical things, like things that keep you up at night. Like that's something that's like existential, like crisis, like just like super nihilistic, like depressing things that like I think about. You know, when there's like nothing to think about, or like you're daydreaming, like type of things where you just like drift off in your thought. It's like I don't see, like, especially seeing from how this year went. I mean, this year is fucking, you know, a crazy ass year. But like the way that this election goes, like I just don't see like scenarios where things get better. Like I mean, I hate to say it, but like I feel like things only get worse from here, and I just don't know the solution or how we make things get better or get steps in the right direction. Like.
I'll tell you what I won't do is I won't adopt the ideology that I'm going to change it or it's going to change.
I feel like that's
too much of a burden.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty oblivious to just like think that you're going to. I think it's pretty silly just to think that like whatever vote you have, like since we've got, I mean, it's going to happen. Sorry, Trump supporters, Joe Biden's going to be your president, whether you like it or not. Like that's just going to happen unless the country goes into civil war, which I mean, I guess we could go on later if we want to, but I think it's kind of silly to think that just one like presidential election vote is going to like make change. Like I feel like just the way things have gone, like in the past like 30, 40 years, like we have just dug ourselves so deep in this.
Well, okay.
I don't even know how to categorize or call it. Like it's not just going to change overnight. Like the changes that we want to see, maybe just us, like as friends group or as a society, like the things that we want to see improve, like it's not going to happen in one presidential cycle. It's
Yep,
going to happen
that's
over
exactly
the
what I
course
was
of
about to
like
say.
3 or 4 or 5 presidential cycles. And I just feel like the bipartisanship of left and right, like they're just going to keep like going back and forth, and we're never going to take steps in the right direction. So it's going to be 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, and we're never going to progress. Like it's just going to be in this perpetual state of staleness.
So,
like nothing's going to happen. We're always going to be trying to get at the other side.
Yeah.
It's like I talked
We,
about
we,
earlier.
it's like
with
we got
the-
Joe Biden, but in 2024, when the Republicans come back, we're gonna come
Dwayne
even hard.
Johnson.
We're gonna come even harder with Ted Nugent running for president, and then in 2028, we're gonna have fucking.
I vote for Ted Nugent.
And in
God.
and in, all right, John's off the podcast. And then in 2024, we're gonna have fucking I don't know. I mean, you understand the gist of
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like we've dug ourselves so far into this hole. I don't like to think this way, but it's the only way. Like I mean, I can say myself like a pretty like smarter, like just kind of like seeing through like the bullshit like perspective thing. I don't know how we get ourselves out of this scenario.
So here's what worries me, and mainly I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast not too long ago with a British political commentator. I don't remember what the fuck this guy's name was, but he brought up a really good point, and this is what concerns me, and it involves the coronavirus. So this virus pops up. It is a common enemy. It is an enemy that we can all unite against and be like, fuck this thing. We have to do what we can to get rid of it.
I got something.
Yeah. Well, we have to
add to that.
We
when
have
you're
to
done.
do something.
A little callback.
Yeah, we have to do something to get rid of it. This is an attack on us, like as a people of the United States. Like here, a virus, a fucking virus. Let's get rid of this thing. And what did we do? We politicized a fucking virus. A virus.
Pisses me off, man.
Something we can all unite against and be like, hey, we need to do something about this shit. This is bad. Let's all do our part. Let's get rid of this. And we made it left versus right. We made it denial. It's not as bad as it is. We made it.
We're the laughing stock of the fucking world. Like
Yeah.
no matter what, Americans will find a way to make it political.
And so this is what that is what genuinely concerned me is when this happened, and that commentator on the Rogan podcast made a very valid point. He's like, if you people can't come together on something as simple as a virus that has no political stance, nothing to gain by left or right partisanship, what the fuck can you come together on?
Nothing.
Yeah, you know what pisses me off is everyone I've ever talked to, like every customer or people I've dealt with, it's like every time they'll be like, oh, I can't wait for the election. I can't wait for Joe Biden to get elected. Or I can't wait for Trump to get elected so the virus goes away. It's like a virus is a virus. It's not going to go away because
It doesn't sway with election results.
yeah,
The China virus.
because a president gets elected.
China.
Yeah, just because Trump thinks it's from, or because Trump says it's from China.
And he's immune.
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't know.
Bing
No,
bong.
no, Trump is immune. Whether it's for a month, a day, a year, he's immune.
You did say that in a debate.
Just like we are immune if we get it. So apparently everyone should just get it so we can be immune forever.
Herd immunity, dog. I mean,
Yeah.
don't you understand science?
Either
Well, that
way,
should
all
be
these
the
people I
perm.
talk to, they're like, I can't wait for the election to be over so the virus will just go away. It's like, okay, Joe Biden gets elected. The next day, the virus is away. It's like, okay, obviously not. What are you going to do when Joe Biden gets elected and he shuts the whole country down again because the virus is fucking out of control? Or what if Trump gets elected and the virus is still here and he's like, oh my God, the virus is out of control. I'm not going to do anything because it's not real. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
you're either gonna die
China.
or you're gonna get shut down, and
Yeah.
you're not gonna have a job for fucking 2 months.
Yeah.
The virus is still gonna be here whether the election is over or not, and you're.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, you're
I'll-
right. You make a good point. Yes.
all of us are like normal folk, which I've talked about before in this podcast, is like we're all caught in the middle of it. Like, I feel like most people, like everyone wants Corona to be over, but I don't think that most people like believe that whatever president we get, whatever president-elect we end up getting in next year is going to determine like how that ends. Like,
Yeah, everyone thought that whoever gets elected would be the solution to the virus. Like I said before, like they thought if Joe got elected, it would just go away, and if Trump got elected, everyone thought that he would just do away with the virus. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
You know, kind of to piggyback on that a bit, what's kind of baffling to me, and I'm sure Dub can give some firsthand insight to this, is like
Dub is an RN. He works in the ICU. He has seen this shit firsthand on the front lines. So fuck off anyone who thinks he doesn't know what he's talking
my
about.
mother works in the same hospital as he does, and they both tell me all the time how they deal with it firsthand and how it is 100% real.
I'm here to tell you guys that it's actually fake. We've been dipping you.
holy fuck, bombshell. Everyone, the
You know
RN from Methodist, he just confirmed it's fake. You know
Coronavirus
what?
over.
You heard
Done.
it
It's
first.
canceled.
Corona tard destroyed.
The China
Trump
virus
24.
has been canceled.
But I mean, to get back to serious things, I mean, I would just say really in the past, I guess 2 months, like when the election cycle has kind of become more forefront in everyone's like ideas or in the media cycle. I mean, prior to that, it's just been Corona. How do we stop it? Is it real? Is it fake? What are the numbers? What's real? What isn't? And we've, as a country, been just hyper focused on Corona, and then the election happens and everyone's like, fake votes, this doesn't count, he won this state, he doesn't, we're gonna fight this fraud election, blah 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 blah, whatever. And in the meantime, everyone just kind of passively forgets about Corona, and they're just like, I mean, it's kind of there, but I mean, is it really?
And
in the meantime, our fucking numbers are spiking. Like, this shit's not gonna go away just because this election is happening and the media isn't covering it. It's still fucking
It's
there.
here.
It's getting worse. Like,
I'm not saying this helps or not, and I'm not saying I'm for one party or the other, but the day after the election, millions, I think it was like close to like 2 million Trump supporters gathered in DC or whatever.
Yep.
MAGA million, baby.
I mean,
the MAGA Million March, that was just like a week ago.
Yeah, that wasn't long ago at all.
yeah, you know,
that was in like the middle of November, I think.
well, you know, the election was over, so therefore coronavirus has ended, so they can now get together and form millions of people together without being 6 feet apart or doing anything to protect the coronavirus.
Definitely not wearing masks. Let's just say
Yeah,
that.
no mask. Fuck that. Let's just say, hey, let's get millions of people together and riot because Trump didn't get elected, but
Protest.
yeah, protest. I'm sorry. Yeah, and so yeah, let's just completely forget about the coronavirus because the election's over and therefore coronavirus is over, and let's just protest with millions of people fucking nut to nut.
Nut to butt, baby.
Baby, that's
Yeah.
how I like to be.
Nut to butt.
Okay.
So 100% I know for a fact that they helped the coronavirus not spread because it's over with the election. So that,
Yeah, you're right. It's gone now.
it is gone.
It's gone because the election happened. So
Yeah,
it's over.
I mean, that's just is that it's both. I mean, I just answered my own question in my head, but that's just how we're fed news and media. Like, people just, and I feel like this is a problem too with like media, is like we get like there's so much shit happening at like such a time, and I mean, it just goes back to what we've already talked about, like a hyperspace of media and news that as a society we have never been accustomed to, and it just keeps getting more and more rampant every single day. But I mean, just because the media doesn't report so much on COVID doesn't mean it's fucking gone. Just because the election is happening and there's, you know, whatever fraudulent votes, or there's some kind of, you know, a big question mark on the election, for lack of a better term, it doesn't mean like the problems that we had a couple months ago are just gone because the media isn't talking about it. Like, it's still there. And I feel that people are just so ingrained into whatever media that they choose to accommodate to, that they just have a willful or a woeful ignorance, I should say, to like just disbelieve it. Like, just because you don't really partake to this certain kind of media source or whatever you want to say, like, it doesn't mean that these actual problems are going away. And I feel like as a country, that's just our problem, because there's so many other like first world countries besides America that are like, hey, we've got a big health pandemic. Let's lock down for a month and just beat this shit, and it's over, and they're getting back to moderately normal lives. But here in America, we like to make a fucking big deal out of it, and it's a huge problem. It's politicized, and it's this and it's that, and it's like, I like, as an American, like, I love my fucking country, and I guess I would say I'm a Democrat. I mean, I don't even like saying that, but like, I just want everybody to like just come together on like some common ground. And this is what I said, like, when we can go back to like talking points, like another podcast. I think it was the one with you, me, and Michael, and maybe Chris, when we FaceTime, we're just like talking about like common enemies of like the entire world. Is like global like health pandemics, like nuclear threats, and like fucking like aliens, like what just like brings like the world together. Like, this should be something that just like brings everyone together. It's like, we've got like this global health problem, like we've just got to like come together, like beat this shit, and then we could get back to our politics and choose who we want as a president. But first we have to beat coronavirus, and we've got to just like hunker down, like, you know, just bite the lip and just get through this shit, as much as you don't want to, and as much as it goes against what you want and it makes you uncomfortable or whatever, as much as you don't want to stay home or quarantine or whatever. Just hunker down. Let's just get through this shit and move on. But we're not going to move on at this point, because everyone wants to just make a huge deal out of this. We want to make fucking mountains out of anthills, or whatever the fucking saying is.
Mountain out of molehills.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, so here's something that I think causes a lot of divide, and I completely blame social media for this. 100%. Because when I look at social media kind of like, you know, being on YouTube, being like a YouTube commenter. Who the fuck actually comments on a YouTube video? Not that many fucking people. I don't know that many people.
Extremists do.
Yeah. The 10 to 15% of people do. And so the people who
the fringe.
Yeah, the fringe. So the people that you see on social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, we'll just use the two extremes, Facebook or Twitter, you see the 10 to 15% of people who are being extremely vocal about their opinions. And so if you're the guy in the middle and you're sitting there looking at this bullshit, or not even the middle, like say you have a slight right bias or a slight left bias, and then you see these fucking crazy ass people going on there posting this like ridiculous shit, you think, because you have confirmation bias, you think, well, I saw these fucking right wingers post this goddamn crazy shit, so all right wingers are nuts. And same thing for the left. It's like, oh well, I saw this fucking crazy ass socialist post this ridiculous commie bullshit on here, and it's like, therefore anyone who is Democrat believes like this bullshit, and then so, and then so you get this group of people that it just furthers the divide. At least in my opinion. That's why you get the people who are like so staunch Trump or so staunch Sanders, Biden, whatever the hell, because people get on there and they're like, oh, well, they see these fringe opinions and you're like, that is how one side is and that is how the other side is and whatever. And it's...
In reality, that's not how it is.
In actuality, most people are like us sitting here looking at both sides being like, this is fucking crazy. This is ludicrous.
Yeah,
but like...
most people, if you like picked anybody out, if you picked 100 people like out of, you know, whatever state, just like across the country, you pick 1,000 people and you just sit down at a table face to face and talk to them, you're going to see eye to eye on so many different things, or like come to some kind of understanding. But just being able to voice your opinion, and this is something that I talked about earlier, is like, we've never had like access to this form of globalization as a society globally. We've never been able to interact with people halfway across the fucking planet that have widely different views or cultural beliefs than we do now. Excuse me, I'm gonna burp. Woo, that's better.
Nice.
Like, we've never been at this point where we've been able to interact with each other as a society than we have now, and it just keeps getting further and further every day, where it's...
Well, what's crazy is, like, as close as we seem to be and have
never
the
been
ability to
further
be,
apart.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
if you went back 50 years ago, like, really, I guess I would say just before the dawn of the internet, or maybe to get further into that, just social media as a whole, like, most people can sit down and see eye to eye on certain things, and that's how most people are now. If you sit down, like, I don't know, if you could be able to get like a staunch Democrat and a staunch Republican, and you put them at a table and you have like some kind of moderator there to keep the peace, because it
I think if you didn't tell each, I think it would, if you didn't tell each other that they weren't even affiliated with a certain party and they talked.
Exactly. Hey, if you just sit down two people and they could be on completely opposites of the political spectrum, but you don't tell them that, like, they're going to find common ground, because that's what people do. Like, that's how we are. That's humans. That's what we do. We like to come to understanding, and we like to be on common ground with each other, because, I mean, this could just be me maybe, but I feel like as a race, as who we are as humans, like, we naturally want to kind of gravitate towards peace, and
you want to connect. It's the human condition. You want to connect with other people. We
don't want to drive people away or make people angry, but I feel like the way that we communicate as a society, and particularly as a country, like, it just kind of, it's provocative of this kind of just angry. Like, everyone's just so angry, and they want to search out for this reason to be angry.
It's like what Trevor said earlier with the YouTube comment example, is that the internet is a snapshot. So, like, social media, for example, someone's posting wedding pictures. Like, you don't fucking see the couple having an argument. You don't see this side and that side. It's a snapshot. It's a glorification of whatever's being posted. So it's going to be extreme. Like, you're going to think too highly or too lowly of whatever you're looking at.
Yeah. Well, I also think let me finish my point, John, and then he's been holding the mic for a minute, so we'll let him go after me. But something that I think is also a pretty big issue is that we've gotten people before our generation, kind of, like you said, they could be able to sit down and talk, because, you know, you could do.
How else are you going to do it?
What? Well, yeah. Well, that, and also it's like you kind of knew what you could say to someone and be respectful of their opinion without getting punched in the fucking face. You know what we've lost with social media? The ability to get punched in the fucking face. That's what we've lost the ability to. You got these fucking keyboard warriors who were sitting there saying, like, fuck you, you goddamn Nazi fucking piece of shit bull motherfucker, for just saying, like,
you're a piece of shit and I don't like you.
Hey, I don't believe in the idea that, like, you should be an illegal immigrant and just get to be here, not pay any taxes, and, like, you get government benefits. Oh, you fucking racist goddamn piece of shit, like, whatever. It's like, you say that to someone, like,
talking about Trump?
No, whatever. you say that, you sit
Build
across
the
from
wall.
someone and you talk to someone like that, you're gonna get punched in the fucking mouth. Like, and that's just how it is. Like, these people hide behind keyboards and they think they can, like, what is it? Give a man a mask and he'll show who he really is, or whatever the fuck that saying is. It's you cannot get away with saying that to someone face to face. That's why there is so much violence that erupts, because people think they can fucking get away with saying shit like that. Then they say it and then they get punched in the fucking mouth, and they're like,
no, you don't think you know you can get away with a lot.
Yeah, and like we have known people who, like, you know, when you sit them down, they're not going to say that shit to your face. Like they will be able to present their opinion in a way that is, like, respectful to the other person's opinion while at the same time disagreeing, and that is how you should fucking conduct a conversation. But we have this social media, we have all this cancel culture bullshit, where it's like you can get away with murder with saying shit, and you pay no consequences. You just say crazy bullshit, and it's like, yeah, no. You say that to my face, you're getting punched in the fucking mouth. That's just how it, like, we've lost that ability. But that transcends our generation in general. Like there are people, we can't have conversations about relationships, or in general. It's like, oh, I don't like to call this person on the phone because, like, that might be weird, so, like, I just text them. Or, like, I can't stand to see I can't stand to see someone in person to break up with them, so I'm just gonna fucking text them and do it. And we have lost so much of what it means to, like, genuinely connect with people because of all of this bullshit. And, like, don't get me wrong, I grew up in the social media age. I understand that it is much easier to do that shit than it is to actually, like, be a human, have emotions, stand in front of someone and say what it is that you believe, with the risk of maybe upsetting someone, but you said what you had to say and you knew it was right. Or,
well, I feel like we grew up in, like, the middle ground, where it's like, it transitioned into, like, all the social media where everyone communicates through it. It's like, I'm going to break up with you through text or something. But, like, me, you, like, all of our friends, it's like in the middle ground. It's like, we want to face that person, like, in real life, like face to face, and we want to like tell them, it's like, yeah, we don't want to be together anymore. Like we want to like talk it out. And it's like when we talk to all the younger people, they want to be like, oh, that's awkward. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to like stay home and like I'll just like text you or I'll ghost you or something.
Yep.
Just like completely ignore you because I don't want to like face my fears, and I don't want to like basically come up to you and say, hey, like we're not a good match or whatever it may be. Like they are afraid of conflict is what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
And they have learned to deal with that through social media because they know that they don't have to experience that awkward moment. So they can just do it through text or a fucking DM or whatever it may be. Yeah. And that's how they deal with everything now. Yeah. And it has made America have a fucking pussy ass backbone. And everyone in America is a fucking pussy now because of that.
How dare you?
Yeah. Well, no,
I think we all can kind of agree with that, but I would just say, like, particularly with our age group, like, I mean, I guess if you kind of adhere to the, I don't know, I think like putting like exact like dates on generations is kind of strange. I guess
it is
like
it's all
boomer,
over the place.
like like boomer, Gen X, millennial, Gen Z, like type of thing. Like we're millennial and Gen Z. We're in the middle. All of us are in the middle because we're 1995. I would say with our friend group is from 95 to
95 to 97.
I'd say. Yeah.
I think some of like the girls were born in like 98, 99. Like
yeah, but as a most part, like maybe like over the course of like 3 years, so like we're kind of like both like Gen Z and like millennial, but like we were coming of age at the dawn of social media. Like we were all like had our MySpace like bios where you fucking pick like the newest like Chris Daughtry fucking like music to put in your fucking
yeah. You know what I fucking miss? I miss MySpace, and I miss having when you clicked on my profile, it played my fucking favorite song. That's fucking dope. You click on Instagram, Facebook, fucking Snapchat. None of that shit does that now, and it's fucking disappointing. I miss when
it's all bra and panties and OnlyFans.
Yeah, you know what can really bring this country together is MySpace. That's what's gonna fucking bring this country together.
This is just completely like opposite of like everything we've been talking about. But if MySpace was like what Twitter is now, and you had like what John said, like you click on a profile and it starts playing their song, what would your song be?
Dude, I can't fucking pick one song.
Yeah, that's hard, man.
Let it simmer. Maybe we can get back to it.
Something pop punk as fuck, man.
All right, I'll set a timer. Let's come back in 15 minutes to pick the song and talk about MySpace.
All right, and we're back from a short break. All right, so before we ended, John wanted to discuss what our MySpace music profile would be if you clicked on our profile.
That was me.
That was Chandler.
Oh, I thought it was John said
that was Chandler.
It was also me.
Okay, well, John said we should talk about when we get whatever. All right, so
regardless, it's a good change of pace, I guess.
Good change of pace. We'll try to be on a more lighthearted note for this little ending portion. But all right, so John and Chandler, since you guys were the people that mentioned it, why don't one of y'all go first? If you had a MySpace in 2020, someone clicked on it, what would be your music?
Okay, I'll start us off. Maybe not just to get, I could probably go on this for a whole other podcast, but I guess it would kind of depend on how you're feeling. But just me as a person on a page that you click on, I'm just gonna have to go with my gut, and I'm gonna say "L.A. Woman" by The Doors.
Why?
It's just a fun song. The fucking keys are any Doors song. The keys by Ray Manzarek are just fucking awesome. I always loved the Doors. I just really connect with Jim Morrison a whole lot. I've got a fucking huge ass.
So you want to
portrait of him.
disappear and never be seen again? Did I figure out where
you want to die at 27?
I mean, maybe.
27 club.
I'm currently headed at that rate, but we'll see what happens.
I'm gonna die tomorrow. That's where I'm heading.
I mean, I guess I would just associate it with just some kind of like liberation or freedom, just kind of being yourself and just experiencing things. They've got lines in there like the city of night, just going out, like having a good time. It's like the song is just about like exploring like Los Angeles just on like any kind of night, like in the 60s, just going out, being frivolous, having a good time. I would say at a core, that's maybe who I am. if it could go either way, maybe some other times I could pick like a more deep song, maybe some kind of like Tool, like Lateralis, if I wanted to get like super deep or something, maybe. But I would say as a whole, just like fun-loving, charismatic, just energetic, down-to-earth person. I gotta go L.A. Woman by The Doors. That's me. John, how about you?
So I would choose Little Wing by Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now, the original song was written by Jimi Hendrix. Now, I'm not saying Jimi Hendrix did it bad or what, but my personal opinion, I like the cover by Stevie Ray Vaughan much better. It is my favorite song of all time. And Jimi Hendrix is one of the best guitarists of all time, no doubt about it. I'm sure anyone
That's going to be a non-disputable fact, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure anyone could list him in the top 5 to top 10 every single time. But
I'd say top 3.
yeah, I mean he is one of the best to ever do it. But
No argument.
in my opinion, I think Stevie is the best of all time.
And he's a fucking Dallas Texan, baby.
And he's got a huge cock.
Big fact.
too.
Austin, Texas represent.
Is he from Austin?
Sure is.
I thought he was from Dallas.
Texas, y'all.
Google.
He actually might be from Dallas, but I know he originated in Austin, which he made his name.
I mean,
He
I don't
popped
want
off in
to
Austin.
undermine you or anything, but I could have sworn he was from like Little Elm or something.
I think
He
you're
died
right.
in a helicopter crash? What the fuck?
I actually didn't know that.
Yes, very tragic.
Where was he
It is
born?
very
He was
tragic
born
that I
in
just
Dallas,
found out.
Texas. But where was his music scene?
I'm pretty sure he basically
Oh,
made
what
his
the
name in
fuck?
Austin, Texas.
Rockwall County, baby.
Rockwall County represent Alex Jones and Duro Music.
Let's not endorse
Now
Alex Jones.
you're listening to Duro music.
I think they're both from Rockwall. I think Duro's from Rockwall.
I think so. Rockwall's a big city. He's probably from there.
Is it?
While
It's got like
Well,
50,000, right?
Not back then. It certainly fucking wasn't.
while our main man Trev is looking up the whereabouts of
Oh,
his
Austin,
main
Texas.
career.
Where?
He dropped
there
out of school and moved with the band to Austin, Texas, where
Yeah.
she had more
Alright, there we
liberal
go.
and tolerant audiences.
Yeah.
There we
So
go.
he-
All right.
understandable.
He-
Rise, born in Dallas, moved to Rockwall County, and rose in Austin. So
Correct.
there we go.
So I was
Just a Texan through and through.
Yes, Texas and through, which, I mean, I am completely biased, which makes me like him even more.
Hey, I'll just interject here, not to interrupt John, but if you have any kind of doubts on Stevie's guitar play, quick listen. I think it's less than 2 minutes long. Just listen to Scuttle Button. That is Scuttle Button by Stevie
All
Ray
right,
Vaughan.
Dub, it is your go.
No,
If-
I'm not
John's still
done.
talking.
You're
John's
not
still
done?
talking.
I'm not done.
All right,
I've
what's
lost
up?
my train of thought.
okay.
Let me just
Garner it back.
Well, yeah, let me just completely restart. So it was.
Completely. He repeats like every word for word.
I'll just paraphrase. So it was Little Wing by Stevie Ray Vaughan, which was originally by Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix, top 5 best guitarist of all time. Stevie is my number 1. Born in Dallas, rose in Austin, which is where we're at now. I chose that song because there is no lyrics in it if you have ever listened to Stevie's version. I think in Jimmy's version there is lyrics, but in Stevie's it's just complete music, just guitar shred, just Texas blues. And when I listen to it, I just completely zone out to whatever I'm doing, and I don't listen to the music, but I feel the music, and it speaks to me in a way that I cannot express. And when I listen to it, it flows through me. And when that's why it would be my MySpace thing, is because when I listen to it, I feel like that is what I try to express in words that I can't. And it's one of the best like musical written performances I've ever heard. Whether Jimmy does it or Stevie does it, I think it is the best song I've ever heard. And because there is no lyrics, I think it makes it more special because it is just purely music, and it just speaks to me in a way that I don't know how to explain.
It's symbolic.
Well, I'll piggyback on that later. I was gonna literally talk about the exact same thing, but let's go ahead and get to Dub and Trevor's choices then.
John, I'm glad you feel that in the tip of your dick, man. I really appreciate that.
Oh, I don't feel that in the tip of my dick. I feel that in the tip of my fucking toes, dude.
Oh, shit.
No,
Why not both?
I feel it on the outside of my right thigh because I think John's erection is touching me. But
that's what that was?
I think so. It might be kind of traversing.
There it was.
It might be kind of traversing its way over to your side of the table. But I'd like to piggyback a little bit off of what John said about the lack of lyrics in songs. But before we do that, Dub, what do you got?
Well, I'm piggybacking first on the lack of lyrics within songs.
Everyone's piggybacking. Let's go.
Well, before we get on this trifecta of piggybacking or quadrifecta, I don't know if that's the right term. Let's just go ahead and
give your opinion.
Let's just go ahead and finish this. Dub, give us your.
Do you guys know any?
Dub, give us your MySpace song. Your MySpace.
Do you guys know
bio.
any piano music?
Not really.
Probably not by like. You
It
passively
depends.
heard this song.
I know quite a few good pianists.
You love pianists?
Woo.
I love pianists.
Woo.
I know quite a few good pianists.
Woo.
Raymond
There's
Zarek,
some good
Elton
pianists.
John.
Woo.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm talking about like classical pianists.
Lay it on us. Let's go.
Claire de Lune, Debussy.
You got me.
Okay. I know Debussy.
Dude, Claire de Lune, Debussy. I guarantee if you play it right now, you all know the song.
Yeah.
Incredible piece of music.
All right. So why? Why is that your MySpace?
Same thing with John, dude. I think it's just like it's got movements in it. It's got fucking soul. Like you don't have to have any lyrics. Nobody has to be saying shit. You can just listen to it and to put it in 2020 terms, fucking vibe with it. Like every time I turn
You
that
have
shit on,
struck a chord with all of our listeners, all 15 of them.
Hey, well, we've got 30, okay?
every time I come
Excuse
back,
me,
every time I
30.
come back to this musical piece, like I'm feeling it differently. And then I can remember at points in times when I did listen to it how I felt, and I think that's fucking awesome. I don't know if it represents me as a person, but it's such like I feel like it's something that you can listen to, and every single person is going to listen to it differently and feel it
And have a
differently.
different interpretation to it.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's what's great about music.
All right.
After Trevor goes, I would like to sidetrack on another musical piece or that I would like to talk about. Just Trevor, you can go, and I would like to go back to it.
Well, maybe we can just transition into music here.
We could- yeah.
Apart from political talk, because I'm
Yeah.
sure that gets pretty exhausting for the layman viewer. So,
Well, also in this fucking turbulent time, I'm sure people are kind of tired of fucking hearing about politics. But I feel like it would be disingenuous of us to not discuss it in some form. So
We probably had a little bit too many drinks to talk about politics anymore.
well, yeah, at this point.
maybe that too. Well, let's just see where it
about
goes.
passion
So,
pieces,
so
right?
Trevor, what would you have if in 2020 if MySpace was as popular as it was in 2007? What would your bio song be?
So I think it is to people who know me, it's no secret to know that my music taste is like very fucking obscure.
Alternative.
Is it Dance Gavin Dance?
It is not Dance Gavin Dance. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
well,
sorry, Jordan Hawley. Shout out.
I had to take a stab at
It
it.
is not Dance Gavin Dance.
Trevor, I know that you listen to some of the most weird and obscure music I've ever heard, but I think that's what makes you you is you try to listen to like underground music, and you want to listen to like what you like, whether it is popular or not. And I think that's what makes it you.
Well, yeah. So like that's
Good
the
point.
thing.
It's all objective, but
Yeah. No. So like that,
What do you got, Trevor?
So that's the thing is that like I credit Harrison with most of my music taste actually because like I always had this affinity for like kind of lesser known alternative artists, but we're still like I feel like in their scene we're still pretty popular. But ever since Harrison introduced me to like this whole new level of music, I have just been kind of like the people I name, no one has fucking ever heard of. There's like maybe a handful of people. and I don't do that on purpose. It's just like I will literally listen to a guy and I'll go look at his YouTube like views, and he has like 5,000 views, and he's like one of my favorite artists. Like that's just.
I get that too. Like if I find like someone really kind of unknown, I'm just like, man, I vibe with this person like so hard, and like only X amount of people like kind of feel that way. It kind of gives me like some sort of I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it, but I feel what you're saying to some kind of extent. It feels kind of more personal since it's unpopular that you could kind of level with this person.
Right, yeah. So, like, there's that aspect of it. But, like, I don't even do that intentionally. That just kind of happens. And so what's really cool about this artist, is called Overgrow. And they're a whole band. But they're...
And no one at this table has heard of them.
No, exactly. That was what I was getting at earlier. So, like, they are from Ohio... And I shit you not, they only have like a couple thousand views on YouTube, but I randomly stumbled upon them on like my Spotify playlist, and every fucking song this guy puts out like speaks to me. I just absolutely fucking love it. I think his music is fantastic, and he doesn't have any like really like happy songs, I would say, but he put out one in early October that I have not been able to stop listening. It never gets old, no matter how many times I fucking play it, and it's called "Broken Things" by Overgrow, and it's fucking.
That's a plug for you, Overgrow. I want compensation.
Yeah, you know
my Venmo is.
Oh my god. Yeah, so like I don't know. I remember when I heard this song, I literally went on like Twitter and I retweeted like the guy that did it, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like I love this. And the guy literally, because he's not very well known, he like retweeted it and he liked it. He was like, hey, like thanks for the fucking.
I can kind of piggyback on that too. I've got that kind of outreach through social media through unknown artists. Yeah, it's really satisfying.
Yeah, and so like, and that made me feel really good to know that like he wanted to engage with me, but also at the same time, it's just like I just loved his music. I didn't care that he wasn't very well known, or like this band. And so this song, "Broken Things," it to me like I've always had like a very sad taste in music. Like most of the music I listen to has like a sad overtone to it.
Maybe more melancholy.
Yeah, more like melancholy. It's not necessarily that it's like depressing, because I feel like you can still like listen to it and like jam out, but like if you actually sat and listened to the lyrics, it is kind of depressing. And that's always been my music taste in general. That's just like that's kind of how I am. It's like and so like some of the lyrics to it, which I was looking up because I wanted to be able to discuss what it actually meant, is that it's just like this guy is like one of the main things is that his head and his heart want different things. And that like that, I feel like that is me all the time. I'm in this constant like battle.
It's a very humanistic trait.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's just kind of like he's relating it to whether it's himself or the person that he's like in love with, and he's like, he's kind of like coming to terms. He's like, in my sleep, I found a home, a place to rest my weary eyes, and fall with you alone. Put broken things together, replacing every piece. And when I finally wear down, like, will you be next to me? And it's just like, to me, that really speaks to me, because like that's how I feel on the inside a lot. Is that like I'm a very happy person, but at the same time, like there are parts of me that feel a little like disjointed, and I feel like that speaks to me a lot. It's like everyone's got their own broken things, their own broken pieces that they have, and you have to come to terms with that. And like, how do you put that back together in your life to be happy and fulfilled? And so like that is kind of like my sense of music in general. I feel like that most of the music I listen to kind of speaks to that. It's like, you're happy, but at the same time, there's something about you that feels a little off, which, like you said, is very human. But that's what speaks to me. And it's like, but it's also says it's got such a good fucking melody. And this was the song I played to you in the car.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and that was the song I played to you. And it's just a good song to listen to in general, but it also speaks very much to me on a very personal level. So
what was the name of the track?
Overgrow?
Broken Things by Overgrow.
Okay.
And it speaks to me a lot.
We were listening to Turnover that night too, right?
Yeah, we were.
I fucking love Turnover.
And I would have never found this guy had I not liked Turnover. It pops up in the same kind of like set list.
Didn't you see them live too?
No, I've seen like some of the bands that are related to them live, but I haven't actually seen Turnover live. But so that's just kind of like my style in music in general. So if you were to pop up on my fucking Myspace page, that would pop up 100%, and I wouldn't even feel bad. It's like, oh, that's kind of like emo sad boy, but it's like, that's kind of me. That's my personality.
Would you consider that? What is that genre? Like alternative?
His is different. I would say his is like alternative. I mean, it's
like progressive alternative, or more like
that's the weird thing about like my kind of genre is like I listen to some stuff that is straight up like pop punk music, but at the same time, some of it is like Turnover, where it's like that dream pop. Some of it is straight alternative. Some is
you need to listen to Tame Impala.
I feel like
We
is that
listened
the,
to it.
Is that
We
the one
listened
with the
to
wa-
it.
like yeah the
He's
ball
like
and the waves?
progressive alternative, like
yeah.
new wave progressive alternative.
So
I think it's very your style.
yeah.
Well, just kind of, I guess I kind of want to harken back to what me, Dub, and John had all said, but kind of just as you read the lyrics a little bit, I mean, do you think that, I feel like that music is an integral part of who I am as a person.
Me too.
I would say, like, I strive to be musically gifted, but I kind of lack the ability to, I guess, kind of express that in a way because I don't know how to play any instruments. I would love to, but
It's all effort, baby.
what's that?
Podcast over.
It's all effort. You're fucking a god at drums, and you just don't apply yourself. Also, you don't have an actual drum set to try.
John rips off the microphone and drops it.
Okay.
I guarantee you, if you had an actual drum set, you would fucking be one of the best drummers I've ever known.
Well, I appreciate the comment. I would like to, maybe in a couple of years when the modern Goonies is in like season 7 or something, we'll get back to that maybe. But I feel like
By season 2, Chandler's going to be
This
top
is season
page of
2.
the fucking Apple Music just from drums alone.
Yeah, all right, so apparently you're gonna in the next year you're gonna be a badass on drums. So
okay, well now the bar is set and I must reach it. So, anyways, I would say that just reading from like what you said, this is the reason why I like the Doors so much, and Jim Morrison as a person. Well, okay, maybe not as a person. He's kind of a fucker. But
Anyways.
but just like when you kind of idolize or you just identify with a certain like person in music, it kind of harkens back to just like really like old school like styles of poetry, which I really like. I've written a bit of I've tried to dabble a little bit in poetry.
a little bit of poetry, boy.
I've written a little bit of poetry myself. Only shared it with a very small, minute number of people, but I mean, just from my personal experiences, Jim Morrison and the Doors have, well, mainly just Jim Morrison. He's kind of he's branched out into like more poetic like types of styles of music, but just with that style, it's like the lyrics kind of speak to you. But I also really like having anything that's instrumental, where it's no lyrics at all, only the music, only the instruments that you hear. And that's kind of why I really like Pink Floyd a lot, which is also something like I could say like also like if we wanted to choose like a bio song or whatever that like kind of represents you, like it just depends how I'm feeling. Like it could differ like into like something that's more like Pink Floydian, that's really open to interpretation where it's instrumental. I really like how you could listen to a long take of instrumentals, and if you all just like sat and listened to it, you could draw different interpretations of how the music speaks to you. And I feel like that's kind of how music should be, where it's you draw different conclusions from what someone created, whereas more atypical lyrics, like the lyrical theme or drive that you have in a song persuades you to think a certain way or feel a certain way with any kind of given song that you're listening to. Whereas if it's more instrumental, you kind of draw on that own interpretation yourself, which I think it's kind of important to listen to yourself, where it's, I mean, music is more, self-drawn from yourself. You could listen to anything and get inspired by it. I mean, it just goes from person to person what your taste is. But I think that I really think there's something to be gained from some kind of inspiration from music where there's no lyrics, and you kind of create your own lyrics from it. Because there's been many a times myself where I've been, a little stimulated from something, and you just feel like a certain chord just hits you in a certain way, and you just feel kind of inspired to write or think, or even just like feel like if you're just sitting there and like you feel it, and kind of like what Dub said, it's a vibe. Like you just the certain like string of a guitar, like the drum beat like hits you like in a certain way, and you literally feel it, and then you just kind of like think of it, and the lyrics come to you. Like that's inspiration. I feel like that's what music is to you.
It's art, man. That's what art's about.
Yeah, it's all inspiration. It all kind of comes to you. I feel like that's really important, and I mean, we could get like deep into it, but I don't think we should really. I don't think we got the time for it. That's a separate podcast, but it can get really superficial with lyrics. But I think I definitely lean more to instrumentals or just anything without lyrics, and consequently, I mean, that's I don't know the exact quote, but that's something that Jim Morrison has said too, which is one of my favorite artists of all time. The Doors is one of my favorite bands. But excuse me. Like one of his big things is like, he's like, I don't want to make like a whole lot of lyrics. Like I just want to play music, and then you kind of create your own lyrics from it, and you like draw your own inspirations from whatever we're playing. Like whatever I say, like that's that's whatever you want to take from it, but whatever the music means to you, like that's what it means to you. I feel like at its core, that's kind of what music is. So I feel like it's really what makes you as a person. I feel like it's really awesome. I kind of, it seems kind of simpler. Like back then, I mean, it's only like, like maybe like 12, like 15 years ago, maybe like when, I guess to get back to how we started this was like what MySpace like was like when you click on a bio and it just like you hear like, you click on, it's like, oh, Trevor, blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to see what he's about. And you click on it, and then you hear that song, and you're like, oh, okay, like, I kind of, I vibe with this. I feel it, like, type of thing. Like, just, like, feeling that kind of, like, emotion or like, that inspiration from a music. It's something that's kind of, it's hard to quantify, I guess, for lack of a better term.
That's why it's special, man, because it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's an indescribable feeling, and it's really awesome. That's why I feel that's why I have such a deep passion towards music and being able to identify yourself within music too.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, I'm the same way. I'm a small time musician. Music is very much a part of my identity. And the thing I think I love the most about it is that you can take a track by someone that, like, popular or not, like, you and I are going to draw different meanings from the same exact fucking song. Like, and that to me is probably the most beautiful thing about music, is depending on your mental state, where you are in life, whatever it is, I will take a completely different conclusion from a song than you will. And that to me is absolutely amazing. And so it's funny. So this relates to like my musical inclination. And Sawyer and I were talking about this the other day. We're both musicians, and he messages me, and he's like, do you ever find it weird that you like end up relating to your own songs? And I was like, well, I mean, like, A, at the same time, obviously, because you wrote them, but B, so I was telling him, I was like, yeah, no, totally, I get it, because it's like, I wrote this one song, Serotonin, which related to this one girl in this one very specific situation, and then years later, another breakup, another girl, comes and goes, and it's like, not at all the same situation, but I'm sitting there listening to, like, my old song, and it's like, there's some lyrics in there that I'm like, that still completely applies to what is happening right now. And it's just crazy because it's like that was something that I created and I did, and I'm relating to my own stuff. And it's just like that is music. Is that, like, you might write something, like, as an artist, you might write something that has a very specific intention, and people will relate to it in one way or another depending on where they are in their life. And that, to me, is the most beautiful thing about music. I absolutely love that.
Oh yeah, I mean, and to get back to more of what Chandler said, like, everyone draws a different conclusion or a different intention from music. Like, today it was like a long day at work, and on the way home, like the drive home, I put on Pink Floyd, the Wish You Were Here album. One of my favorite albums of all time. And Pink Floyd is like top 5 favorite bands of all time. And
big fact.
Like, my best part, or my favorite part of the albums, was basically like the first song and the last song was the Shine On You Crazy Diamond part 1 and part 2. And it's because it's just only playing music. Like there's no words, and I'm just like, I've had a long day. I'm super stressed out. I'm exhausted, and in that moment, I'm taking it in as like relaxation and like comfort, basically. Like I'm listening to it on the way home, and I'm just like completely vibing and completely like in the moment, and it's just like the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like it just it speaks to me at that moment, and like I don't want any lyrics, and but at the same time, like someone like I can listen to that. Like the other day when we were all here chilling and we had like Pink Floyd on the record player, and it was a completely different setting, and it was just like, this is like perfect, just like chill, like everyone's having a good time mood. Like no one's like really listening to the music, but it's like in the background, and it's just like a chill setting. It's like same song could be playing and I could be listening to it, and it's like, yeah, it's a good song, like I'm having a good time. But like I listened to it today, and it's like I actually like listen and experience the music, and it speaks to me in a different way. And it's just like everyone that listens to it like always draws a different conclusion. And I think that's what is so special about music, and that's why like what you and Chandler were saying, like with no lyrics, just music alone, it's like if you're just straight listening to it, and it'll just like speak to you, and you'll feel it a different way almost every time. Every setting you're in, like, can be different or the same, or just like you can be like a party mood, or you can be like a sad or whatever, and you listen to it and it's going to speak to you in a different way every time, whether it be good or bad. And I think that's what makes it so special.
Yeah.
I mean, music as a whole is like kind of an experience. I mean, to kind of go back to full circle, what we talked about at the beginning of this episode was how life is an experience. Music itself is kind of an experience, and I think it's really kind of awesome, the different kind of settings that you have yourself in mentally or emotionally. Like when you listen to the same track, like at one point, you know, like kind of how John said, like there's a certain vibe, like when you're, you know, driving home from work, and, you know, you're just kind of like, man, I just want to unwind and just kind of like let the day just kind of, you know, unravel, and you just listen to a song and just kind of eases yourself out of, you know, whatever stress you kind of have. Or you listen to it at a different setting and it's like, man, I want to get pumped up, and I really love this song, and it's super good, and it gets me, you know, fired up because it's such a good song. Like the different kind of experiences that you can draw from the same kind of track or the same kind of band is, I think, what makes a certain kind of band or just a type of music. I mean, really any kind that you draw to yourself makes it awesome. Because,
yeah,
I mean, I feel like between you and me, Trevor, like I don't like particularly the type of music that you listen to, but I appreciate like the kind of like feelings that you get towards that music. And I feel like as a listener, just as a person, like we agree on, you know, similar things, like the feelings that we get from certain music, even if we don't like the same type of music. Like I could listen to, like, I don't know, I mean, as a running like gag, like I like to make fun of like the type of music that like you or Sawyer or Harrison listens to, because it all kind of sounds the same to me. But the same could be said like in a vice versa situation, whereas like the type of things that I listen to, like you're like, well, yeah, this is all just kind of, you know, hippie stoner like rock type of music thing. But it's like the type of chord that I mean, kind of pun intended, the type of like chord that it strings with you as a person is what makes it special. And I think that's open to interpretation with each kind of person. I feel like kind of as an individual, learning to or just experiencing different types of music and kind of like finding what suits you and what relates to you is what makes you kind of grow emotionally or spiritually, even as a person, is like finding what type of music really relates to you at a humanistic core.
Yeah.
As much as you can like kind of relate to is what makes it special, whether that be through the lyrics or through the instrumentals, or it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah. Well, something I've said for a very long time, and it's something I still stand by to this day, is that I genuinely think you can tell a lot about a person by the type of music that they listen to, what their favorite song is, whatever. I think music, people say eyes are the windows to the soul. I think music is. Because I think you
can agree with that, too.
I think you can really tell a lot about someone's character, what they feel inside, their integrity, whatever it may be. You can tell a lot of it through music, like the kind of music that they listen to, and a lot of it, to me, a lot of it strikes true. Like,
maybe not even like the type of music or per se like the genre, but just, I don't know. It's just a case to case basis, really. Like, it's just like someone could, I don't know. I mean, I haven't experienced this, but like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that like listen to like I don't know, like current like pop or like trap rap like type of music that we listen to, and I'm like, I don't like that kind of stuff. Like, I like more traditional rap music or something where I think it's like, yeah, this is mumble, like this is all like fucking garbage, like generated like shit. But like someone could be like, well, no, man, like I hear this, and like whenever this beat drops, I feel it a different certain way. It makes me feel like really hopeful or whatever. And that's just the difference in people, and that's just like, I mean, maybe that's just the woefully hopeful person. I mean, like, you can just find like common ground through music too.
Oh,
like,
wait, no, yeah, you 100% can.
That's why I'm changing my song to Ice Cream Paint Job by Duro.
Okay, I'm down with it. Are you gonna go with the remix version or not?
It's the D-O-double-R.
Oh man, you're gonna fucking give me a nosebleed from the nostalgia.
All right, so we've been at this for a little bit, so let's start to wrap it up. Dub, do you have any final thoughts on music you want to say before we kind of start to tie this into a bow?
No, I mean, I think we're all in agreement here that music is a very tasteful way to experience yourself and grow.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, so we've talked quite a bit tonight about politics, what it says about people, and then we transitioned on an off note, but something that also I feel like can definitely tie in.
Strangely relates.
Yeah, is music. And so, we talked quite a bit. This is a very turbulent time that we live in. This election, even though it is over, it is still far from being done. We still have until January to kind of figure out what the fuck is really going to happen. We're divided, but at the same time, we have plenty of things to bring us together, such as the music that we have all talked about. So, I hope that people can draw something from this. I hope that there is something that we can do that really unites us, and hopefully things through the more artistic realm is something, maybe that's something that we can achieve. But I feel like this is a good kind of comeback. Once again, we're going to start going to an audio only format for a while. We're going to test that out, see how that goes. Hopefully we can put out a couple more podcasts than what we have currently been doing, make it a bit more frequent, be up to date on current affairs. But I really appreciate for you guys tuning in, especially after such a long hiatus. So I have been your host, Trevor King Minor. This has been Chandler and John.
I'm glad we ended it on an optimistic note. I would say to any current listeners, if it's within the current time span we have, November, December 2020, just don't be so bitter and so superficial about things. Just try to level with everybody, and we're all gonna get through this together. And time's gonna go on, and we're all gonna persevere through this. But just try to level with someone. I would say if my leaving note for this podcast would be, try to level with someone that you wouldn't in a normal day-to-day basis. Try to walk a mile in their shoes, for a cliche term.
Yep. And this has also been my good friend W. Dan.
Yep. It's been a good time, man.
Hell yeah. This has been...
Go get out of y'all's comfort zone. Go
Yeah.
talk to strangers, see how they feel.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, John, any final notes before we leave?
I would just say that the virus is real, and don't let politics tunnel vision you to believe it's not. Wear a mask, and when you do wear a mask, it's not protecting yourselves. It is mostly protecting other people. Don't be selfish. Just be aware of your surroundings, and please protect the community and society, and whatever you do, do not go out in a big public area and don't wear a mask, because that will make COVID spread and you will lose your job if we get shut down. So
Yep.
just please be smart
Yep.
and be aware of your surroundings and wear a mask, because it does help. It's not helping you, it's helping others.
Yep.
Amen.
And
So-
Mark Cuban, 2024 VP, Luka Doncic. Let's
Yep.
go Mavs, 2021.
Yep.
I would like
Mavs.
to say Mark Cuban is the next president. I will vote for him.
Dwayne Johnson.
Please
Yep.
run. And also, if Dwayne Johnson runs, apparently the majority of the population will vote for him. So
Yep.
I mean,
We can't deny facts on this
Yep.
podcast.
So,
we
yep,
all adhere to
cannot
facts.
deny facts.
The main thing to draw from this, Mavericks 2024. I've been your host, Trevor King Minor. These are my good friends, and good fucking night. Have a good time. Tune in for the next time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.